Hey, so this is Misery Loves Company, a weekly social reading series hosted by miserytourism.com. Every Friday, we welcome outsider and transgressive authors to come and share their work. And that's fucking it. That's the whole spiel. It's late August, the summer's ending. Let's fucking get this over with. Let's see. Okay. All right. Up up first tonight is Blick. And Blick, you wanted me to share a link to an anthology. This is going. You kind of you gave me a little spiel about this collection over DM, but I've forgotten most of
It was
it.
a spiel? Okay. I haven't a spiel. Oh, that sounds like Oktoberfest or something. Yeah, I wanted to, I'm old school, very old school, oldest school ever here. So I like when I publish, I really I love Bear Creek Gazette and Misery and all that stuff, but I still like a really good book, publish something in a really good book. And there's this publishing. I gave you a link there. It's called Pure Slush Books. It started in Berlin, and it moved over to Australia. And there's this great editor, the founder there. His name is Matt Porter, and he's putting together this really ambitious anthology called Lifespan. And it starts with birth, and then the second one is this one, which I'm going to read from, which is cool. This is Growing Up. It's about childhood. Then there was another one, and there's actually one that the submissions are still open for that anthology until the 31st, which is a few days from now, and that's about love. And these anthologies that he publishes, they're great because he takes fiction, nonfiction, and poetry, all the prose 1,000 words or less, and with the and with the poetry, and it's really cool shit, really eclectic, it's really eclectic stuff. So, and there's so many beautifully twisted stories here about love that I just heard just last week, and so I just figured that that if you're looking to submit to a publisher and get a nice hard copy, you may want to take the next 3 days and shoot Matt over something, because my favorite quote about love, I didn't talk about Faulkner and how it comes from Woody Allen. It was some line he said, there's nothing wrong with masturbation because you're having sex with someone you love, and to me that sort of that sort of encompasses the beauty, I guess, the beauty of love. So if you're interested, if you put that, I don't know if you put that website up there, the love thing is up for 3 days, and then he's got different series. I was laughing because, William, I loved your intro tonight. Did you write that about marching to death? And
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess the last series in the Lifespan thing will be death. So
maybe I'll submit for that one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, check it out, because the books, the books are beautiful. All right. So this is a piece from this anthology. It's called Silent Danger. All right. It was starting again. His father slammed the bedroom door so hard Nicholas could feel the vibrations traveling down the hallway, searching for him. He jumped off the kitchen chair. Nicholas knew those vibrations. Like lightning, they were attracted to metal, and didn't take a genius to know that the new kitchen set his mother recently bought had chairs with aluminum legs. After the vibrations wobbled the chair, the yelling began. His mother Lucille and his father Charlie were now locked in their bedroom. Nicholas liked living in the city, but when the yelling started, he always wished he was living in the country. It wasn't the trees or grass or fresh air Nicholas longed for. It was a house. A big house far enough away from his neighbors so his parents' yelling couldn't be heard. Everyone in the building could hear their screaming, and the next day at school, Nick would be teased about it. No one called Nicholas by his given name, not even his parents. His father was always asking, "Hey, Nick, how's it going?" And Nick would answer, "Things are going swell. My name's Nicholas, not Nick." That's when his mother would laugh and say, "Lighten up, Nicky." The first time Nicholas realized he hated the name Nick was one morning at the breakfast table. Nicholas was busy scooping out raisins with a spoon when his father burst into the kitchen. He had his hand on his throat and blood was seeping through his fingers. Lucille jumped up from the table. "My God, Charlie, what did you do to yourself?" "I didn't do anything. It's these cheap razors you buy. Even when I use a fresh blade, I nick myself." Charlie pulled his hand away so his wife and son could admire his wound. The sight was so ugly that Nicholas's cereal stopped tasting sweet, so he pushed it away. "If you stop buying such expensive liquor, I might be able to spend more on razor blades," shouted Lucille. "Since when have you complained about the quality of liquor I bring into this apartment?" Charlie shouted back. "Since it's giving you the throat so bad, you cut your own throat." "Ha, you're the cutthroat in this house," snapped Charlie. "How dare you say that to me, especially in front of Nicky," cried Lucille. But she need not have worried. Nicholas was already running down the apartment stairs heading for school. As much as Nicholas disliked the name Nick, he hated Nicky even more. It rhymed with sticky, tricky, sicky, and much worse. More than once, he was the subject of some other hotshot fifth grader's rap song. "Hey, you little dicky Nicky, clean that fat ass so sticky. But it might be a little bit tricky. So buy a dog to quickie licky you into something smelling not so icky. But be careful its teeth don't give you a hickey." Now, you could keep Nick and Nicky, but Nicholas he liked. It had dignity. It was a name long enough that people had to make an effort to say it. Nicholas tiptoed down the hallway to his room. He didn't want his parents to hear him. Despite all the loud arguing coming from their bedroom, he still had to be careful if he didn't want to be detected. That's because a strange thing happened whenever they started their shouting matches. Whoever was doing the shouting had the other's complete attention. Two voices never overlapped, never collided. When one parent stopped yelling, there'd be a slight pause before the other parent started in again. It was these pauses that were dangerous. As soon as they were aware of their son's presence, they'd stop yelling long enough to ask Nicholas to judge which one of them was in the right. No matter what Nicholas said, it always made things worse. One night at the dinner table, he asked his parents about their fighting style. "Mom, Dad, how come when you fight, you never scream at the same time?" His father straightened up in his chair. "It's because we're civilized people, Nick." His mother placed her spoon by her dish. "And we respect each other, Nicky. Your father and I respect what the other has to say, so we listen." "Oh," said Nicholas, as he dipped his spoon into a cup of chocolate pudding.
I love the way this piece captures the dynamics of an unstable household. Having grown up in a, be
Who
careful
didn't? Who
what I
didn't grow
say
up in an
right now,
unstable household?
but
Right?
yeah, no, I mean, there are so many great details that really captured like the tenuous kind of interpersonal relationship of living in a household like that. The one I really loved was being like feeling the vibrations in the aluminum leg of the chair, like almost being able to sense the tension that way. That I think is a beautiful detail. Also, really love the child's rap song. Like that is 100% the way shitty kids act to each other, and that was beautiful. Thank you, Blick.
Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, and can you just one last time? What's the name of the anthology? Or, yeah, what's the name
Oh, the
of
press. The press. Did you put it in? Did you put in the link?
I did. I put in the link to the
Yeah,
Growing Up anthology, the one you
okay,
gave.
it's pure slush books.
Awesome,
So,
pure slush.
yeah, so check them out because they do really beautiful. They really do beautiful work. Huh?
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Blick. Up next is Gigi Rowland. Gigi, tonight we're going to peer pressure you.
You want me to read the Jon Favreau thing?
That's what I want you to do.
Jesus. All right, I'm just going to read the same thing that I read last time then.
That's fine. That's fine. I just want to that needs to be immortalized. That needs to exist somewhere for eternity.
Sure. Let me find it real quick. I forgot that I agreed to read. All right. Ready? All right. Once some time ago, Jon Favreau stood in his kitchen, ignoring his children and wife while preparing a grilled cheese sandwich. Jiro, he thought, I'm like Jiro. I have been making grilled cheese sandwiches for so many years, and each one I made has been better than the one before it. I dream about these babies. He cuts the sandwich in half, then puts it onto an expensive wooden plate. Jon Favreau closes his eyes and moans, imagining a room full of people celebrating his sandwich, celebrating him. He put the sandwich into the garbage, then locks himself in his office for 2 weeks to write the script for what would become the movie Chef, only emerging to retrieve pizza rolls and cases of Mountain Dew. Several months later, Jon Favreau is surrounded by cameras and film crew members. He makes demands about the lighting and comments angrily about the quality of his ingredients. This is Chef, damn it, says Jon Favreau, pointing at his face with his thumbs. This is me. The camera operator peers over his viewfinder, squinting at Jon Favreau, wondering if he should pull out his phone to record something that might go viral, or at least be worth something to TMZ. Jon Favreau paces around, touching things, smelling the bread, butter, and cheese. He has brought all these items to set himself. He does not remember doing so. I'm tired of this amateur shit, says Jon Favreau. I thought being the most important part of the Iron Man franchise would at least carry some weight, some respect. I'm happy fucking Hogan, for God's sake. Crew members make eye contact with one another. Was Jon Favreau an Iron Man? One of them looks up Jon Favreau's filmography on Wikipedia. He played the protagonist Driver, a character who was apparently named Happy Hogan. Jon Favreau picks up a slice of bread and squeezes it into his palm. He grunts and throws the compressed ball of carbohydrates against the wall. Fuck it, says Jon Favreau. Action. The camera and all eyes on set follow the actor as he prepares the grilled cheese. They notice him sweat a little as he spreads butter onto the bread. His breathing quickens, then grows shallow as he gently mushes the slices of bread into the pan heating up on the stove. A script supervisor furrows her brow while watching a line of drool slowly leak out of the actor's mouth, like a spider lowering itself down from its web. Jon Favreau flips his toasting buttered bread slices and places cheese onto them. Crew members are unsure about the sounds emanating from Jon Favreau as they watch him lick his lips, mouth agape. Are the moans part of the script? Is this something that can be cleaned up and turned into something palatable to viewers in editing? Jon Favreau grabs at the crotch of his pants, holding himself with his left hand as he uses a spatula in his right to flip one slice of bread onto the other. A camera operator zooms in on the butter sizzling on top of this flip slice of bread, then moves their head beside the camera to look at the actor, unsure if they should voice their disgust regarding the current situation. Jon Favreau removes the grilled cheese sandwich from the pan and places it on a cutting board. There is a satisfying sound as he cuts through the well-toasted bread. It's crispy. He pulls the two halves of the sandwich apart and stares at the cheese string between them. His eyes roll back in his head. Every crew member on the set of Chef witnesses Jon Favreau's hips and chest convulse slightly and the appearance of a small dark spot near the zipper of the actor's pants. His hands form fists, destroying the halves of the grilled cheese sandwich. He pinches his nipples. They would have to shoot this scene again. There's crumbs everywhere. Every fucking day, god damn it, mumbles the camera operator. Jon Favreau opens his eyes and whips his head around to glare at the camera operator. Excuse me, he bellows. Those near the camera take a step back. Though they agree with the sentiment of what was said, as Jon Favreau has shot this scene every day for the past 2 weeks, they have kept their mouths shut. Actors, after all, only want comments from their director, and Jon Favreau is directing this film. Who the fuck are you, says Jon Favreau, throwing what remained of the cheese and bread at the camera operator, whose eyes were now wide. Answer me. What? The camera operator's mouth goes dry. He gulps. My name is, shut up, says Jon Favreau. You'll never work again. 3 days after the filming for Chef is completed, the camera operator's body is found hanging from a freeway overpass, apparently dead from a suicide. That's all I got.
That's just as beautiful the second time around, Gigi. It's funny. Last week you read that after the recording, and I was at my cousin's house and he was listening in, and he had just recently watched that movie, and he was like, that's exactly what it is. He's like, the entire fucking movie was just one long act of masturbation. And he said he would, and this is, my cousin is he's really into cooking, and he likes these like documentary style films, and he's like, oh, this is gonna be kind of like a really like intense look at like what it's like to work in a commercial kitchen or something. And he's like, no, it was just 2 hours of fucking food masturbation. And so you nailed it, Gigi. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank
My
you for
favorite
finding
part was the every fucking day part. That was amazing.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you, Gigi. Up next is Dan with us tonight? He signed up, but I'm not sure if he's here. I don't see him in the chat. So we'll wait on that, which means Gabe is up next. Let me just put the link in the chat here. So Gabe, this is a piece of, did you say creative nonfiction?
Yeah, it's actually it's a piece for Lit Reactor that I pitched to them that they took. I've just I would love some feedback to see if it hits. And I told this story months ago to some of you guys after hours, so some of you will recognize the story. But anyway, here it is. It's called Crime and Opportunity When True Crime Doesn't Work. Oh my God, you should totally write about that. What an opportunity, was a common echoing presumption from my non-writer friends after relaying my chilling encounter with a local would-be murderer, as if I hadn't already thought about it. As if writers don't obsess with every little thing they come across, whether mundane or extraordinary, for potential material to tweak into a piece to create order or meaning to their lives. Sensational as it might be, me and the Jenny's encounter with Mr. Robertson, owner of our local coffee company who had threatened to kill an innocent motorist before orchestrating his own fatal suicide by cop scenario, doesn't really work in a true crime or even crime fiction bracket. To even attempt would be desperate, even borderline parasitic, considering the shadow of mental illness looms heavy in this tale, as more of us struggle with that now more than ever. In 2019, 20.6 American adults were struggling with mental illness. That's 51.5 million of us, 1 in 5 adults pre-pandemic, which exacerbated these numbers greatly. So it's safe to say that because of that, this story isn't that sensational after all, just another day in America, really. For context, here's what happened. On Saturday morning, February 13th, me, Jenny number 1, and Jenny number 2 were leaving our local swap meet, walking back to our cars. To our right, we hear an invasive EDM emanating out of a souped-up stereo from a new black Mercedes convertible. The top was down, displaying the driver, a sneering, arrogant Matthew McConaughey type guy in black shades staring at us. He slowed to the pace of our walk, creeping alongside us. Jenny number 1 starts cursing under her breath. What the fuck, dude? Among other profanities. Since her car was closest, she hastily exited the scene, leaving him to continue his slow pursuit of me and Jenny number 2. I saw Jenny number 2's cars was close. In fact, she was already walking towards it, signaling me to calmly walk to my car as I kept my eye on her. Suddenly, the black Mercedes whips hard to the left, zipping into the parking space beside hers, so close to her car she could barely get her door open. If this was 5 years ago, when I was more likely to find any excuse to get in someone's face and egg on a fight, I would have been over there immediately. Instead, I observed closely, on guard for any signs of escalation. Jenny number 2 and I made eye contact. Everything cool, I mouthed. She gave me a nod. 1 minute, hold on, she mouthed back, as he was already leaning over his passenger seat, talking to her with his hands wildly animated. Just so you know, I heard everything you guys were saying about me back there. Let me just say, you shouldn't hate people just because they're rich. You shouldn't hate money, or else it will just stay that much further away from you. You shouldn't spread hate. In fact, I was actually put on this earth to spread love. My name is Mr. Robertson. I own the High Desert Coffee Company. He reached out his hand, what looked like an attempt to shake hers. Instead, he gave her a plastic medallion, like an AA chip, only was inscribed with the words spreadtruththroughlove.org. That's my website, he said, beaming with pride. Okay, was the best reply Jenny could muster. Beyond the presumptuous nature of his whole all is love lecture, he was dominating the conversation, so she couldn't get a word in. After she was finally able to enter her vehicle, I pulled behind her and followed her to her house, where she relayed the unnerving exchange. Just 2 days later, on Monday, February 15th, after a traffic confrontation in La Quinta, with both cars now stuck in the parking lot, Mr. Robertson pulled a gun to the head of another motorist. "Do you want to die?" he asked him. Those who were put on earth to spread love obviously work in mysterious ways. When Mr. Robertson sped away, the victim called the cops. Deputies were driving to the scene when dispatch told them Robertson was traveling westbound on Highway 111. Deputies tried pulling him over before he finally drove into Desert Horizons Country Club, where he was trapped at the gate. Robertson then exited his vehicle, approached the police as they ordered him to get back in the vehicle. "End my existence," he said, before pulling the gun from his jacket, pointing it at the cops, saying, "Shoot me or I will shoot you." The cops then opened fire on Robertson, who was soon declared dead by CAL FIRE, who arrived on the scene despite life-saving efforts. The end. None of it adds up, right? Therefore, there is no tidy narrative in it that would satisfy the obsessive, everything in its place, true crime enthusiast. It's all twist with zero unfurling payoff. That's the thing. Even as I write this, I feel sick to my stomach, even reducing this tragic incident to whether it works or not. Because life isn't really a story. If anything was proven in the strange case of Mr. Robertson, it's that life is, at best, a series of random events that overlap jarringly when they're not violently colliding. And all we could really do is harness as much of our consciousness if we expect to stumble through it without dying young like Mr. Robertson at 33. And sometimes you just die young anyway. I did that creepy thing people tend to do. Because of me and the Jenny's encounter with Mr. Robertson 2 days prior to his death, I ingratiated myself into a story that essentially had nothing to do with me, relaying our encounter as a near-death experience. I know he had that same gun on him when he was advancing on us with that unmistakable gangster arrogance. If I would have gotten in his face to leave us alone, he definitely would have blown my brains out. I devised an overreaching theory of my own questionable death-obsessed whimsy I could never prove. But that's the story I was telling everyone, spilling out like vomit to anyone who would listen. Immediately after the incident, word spread fast in our small high desert community where Mr. Robertson was a substantial public figure. Words that turned into half-truths, which then turned into unsubstantiated rumors, all which painted Mr. Robinson as some kind of mythical desert boogeyman, despite the efforts of his outspoken sister, who made sure everyone knew what a peaceful, kind person he was, who wouldn't even hurt a spider, despite his recent fatal unraveling. Now, if I was a psycho, I would have pursued the story with unhinged nightcrawler gusto, using my journalistic entitlement to reach out to his sister, his employees, the cops, whoever, to get the real juice, the details that fell through the cracks, uncover the cover-ups, aka get the whole story because the people, wait, who? Deserve to know, forcing them all to relive a horrible, inexplicable tragedy they'd much rather move on from, just so I could satisfy my own suppressed imbalances. It was only fitting that shortly after the incident, I binge watched All Be Gone in the Dark, one woman's obsessive search for the Golden State Killer. How could I not get sucked in with McNamara's tunnel vision research leading to the unimaginable catch of our state's most prolific serial killer? Meanwhile, she's addicted to opiates to focus, leaves her daughter, husband, and publisher in the lurch, then eventually passes away after succumbing to chemical misadventure. In the end, my takeaway wasn't the triumph of finally catching Joseph James D'Angelo. It was a cautionary tale for writers' tendency to overindulge in their obsessions while their immediate world falls to pieces. Anyone who's read Balzac's Quest for the Absolute knows this tale if they haven't lived it themselves. Nothing should be off limits to write about, but when it comes to true crime, do yourself a favor and ask, why exactly am I writing about this? If your answer is somewhere along the lines of, I must live vicariously through other people's tragedy instead of dealing with the twisted wreckage of my own shattered life, then you might want to travel inwards instead of out, where the darkness can be so pitch black, it often takes more bravery to confront.
I love this. I love this because it's funny because the cousin who I was staying with last week is like obsessed with true crime shit. And so I spent a big chunk of the week talking about like true crime stuff with him. We watched a few of these true crime documentaries, and you really get at something in this piece. You really get at like how like deeply unsatisfying it is on some level to partake in that kind of entertainment, right? And
Yeah, I mean, it's more popular now than ever. It's a very American thing. I think it's something very indigenous to our country, and I think it's very telling. You know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. And you get at like that vacancy, that like way that like an unwillingness to self-reflect drives people in the direction of the sensationalizing these kind of sensationalized crimes, right? And also like I don't know, our desire to build narratives, which is something I'm fucking obsessed with, right? Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. I think about that all the time, like how impulsive it is, but how kind of unnecessary it is in the scheme of things.
yeah, and how deeply unwilling we are to just live with ambiguity, right?
Yeah.
That ambiguity needs to go so that we can have a tidy accounting of events, even if like the end result is like, in this case, like raking some poor woman who just lost her brother over the coals, trying to determine if she was bullshitting you or bullshitting the general public about him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like the
Yeah.
desire to make other people relive their trauma just so you can get a clean answer.
Yeah, I think we're addicted. Like, what did Unity say in the group chat the other day? Like something about villains. Like, oh, that wasn't popular because there was no villains in it. You know,
Yeah.
I think we're Americans are just addicted to scapegoating villains or finding a villain, you know, or else stuff doesn't make sense to us.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like how we get moral closure, which is
Yeah.
pretty fucked up. But thank you, Gabe. That's awesome. Oh, you said
Thank
you
you.
had some questions about it, though. I don't want you. I don't
Can
want
I
to
say
like.
something?
Yeah.
Can I make a comment, Gabe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know it's creative nonfiction, and so you sort of bookended it. The first part about the thing about people non-writers, and then you set up the tale, and then after the cops shoot him, you do a sort of a philosophical reflection on what this means and how you're translating it. But for me, just for me, the story, the power of this nonfiction story for me began when you quoted a statistic like 55 million, and you said 1 in 5 adults struggles with mental illness, and then boom, on Saturday, January 21st, I think that,
Right.
and you told this story. You told the story as dispassionately as you could, and it ends with the cops shooting this guy. I
appreciate that.
and
Yeah,
I thought for a piece of creative flash nonfiction, I thought that was fucking, that was awesome, because the book ending of the intro and then sort of the conclusion of that, I get it, and it works on that, but it was so fucking powerful when 1 in 5, there's one character in it, there's one character.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That's just my gut reaction.
Thank you.
So, Gabe, did you like have specific questions about the piece that you wanted to pose to people, or I don't want to like.
No. I just
Still
want
have some-
to know if it hit or if it stayed. It jumps. I just want to make sure my point hit, and I feel like it did.
Oh yeah, I think it definitely did. Looking
As long as I'm always concerned whether my stuff, like my creative nonfiction stuff, is like a rant. I always want to make sure it's not a rant or whatever. So
yeah,
as
no,
long
I
as it
worry
didn't-
about that with my writing sometimes too, especially the more like introspective stuff. It's like, how far have we gotten off the beaten path here? But no,
Right.
I think this works perfectly. Like Blick said, there's a really compelling central story here, and you've like, instead of giving into the easy urge to sensationalize it, you've captured it, and then you've really meditated on it in, I think, a really fascinating way. So no, I think it's great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Also, don't be wary of the rant. I think rants can be good. Eve Babbitt's, it's a sustained rant. Sustained rant is anyway, but I understand that kind of not. Yeah, it takes a lot for that to not be. But you can go there.
I'm not against rants necessarily, but it's I feel like I don't want to get in the habit of it, because if I'm going to submit something to a place, a lot of places won't take something that seems like a rant or whatever, or like too much of an
Right.
opinion piece or whatever.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. Yeah.
Right. No, that was awesome. Thank you, Gabe.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah. So up next is Derek. I know you said you wanted to read during the open mic, Derek, but that was it in terms of everyone who signed up. We just have you and then Josh.
Okay, thank you.
Derek beat you to the punch, but
Yeah,
you're
no,
next after Derek. We've got plenty of time.
No, I was, yeah. Sorry, I was just like, I was getting some fucking, I said I was gonna get a 40, but you can't get a 40 at the grocery store, but you can get this 2.0 peach Sleeman Crash. It's just like, if it has fruit on the can, I'm like, fuck yeah. So yeah.
Josh, don't make me tag this with paid promotion again. Okay. All right, Derek, you're up.
All right, can you hear me okay?
Speak just a little more. I caught kind of like some interference, but that might have been a fluke.
All right, yeah. I'm at like a different place because
No, you sound good. You sound good.
tween girls have not tween, however old my kid people are, have sleepover stuff happening, and there's like squealing in the background, and dad's too stoned for it. But anyway, yeah, I want to say real quick, the structure of that was perfect because you got to do both you write great fiction and criticism, and you can never, it's so hard to combine those things. And like, I always try to do like reviews, and like, it's just hard. You kind of do both. And that one you got to do both. Like the story gets to be embedded, and then you prepare it and then analyze it at the end. So I thought that was cool. Like, I really like that structure. All right, this is called Portsmouth Public Library Song.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Anyway,
I couldn't.
thank you.
Awesome. I couldn't hear you, and I was like, okay, maybe I just messed it up. That is something I'll do. All right. There I am at the Portsmouth Public Library. I've run away from home. I'm 21 years old. It is cold in New Hampshire. I came here to be with a woman. We live together in a finished room above a barn. At night, you can hear the feral cats. You can hear them during the day too, but it's nothing like the night. The barn is at the top of the hill with the college below. The woman I came here with is waitressing at the steak place. I have a day off. I ride with her into town. She drops me off at the Portsmouth Public Library. There I am. They have DVDs in the Portsmouth Public Library in 2003. Lucky for me, I go right to them. I need to find something long to watch to pass the hours. It's 10 a.m. My woman works a double. The library closes at 6. After that, I can go drinking. I had to be here today. I couldn't stay home. Last time I stayed home alone, bad things. Something to watch, but something light. Things haven't been going well lately. I find something long to watch. There I am, swallowing more pills with my saliva at the Portsmouth Public Library. Nothing settles right. Man next to me at the computers is watching porn with the sound on low, but not low enough, giggling to himself. He spittles and chorts. Everything in him and on him is unkempt. Last week, he was kicked out of here, hysterical, his mad light shining, squeaking wildly on the dangers of cell phone radiation. People pretend he's not watching porn all the time. I surely do. The knots and Vaseline in his beard. The lice or dandruff for both. Specks of something, to be sure. Smell of refuse. Even lovely New England coastal towns have their residue. He moves unpredictably. He's got a twitch. He looks right at you, speaking to himself. Something isn't right with his eyeballs. This man is beautiful. His grace, his command of the scene. We move to the side, cling to the walls, passing him in the hallways. He was caught arguing with the marginalia with a red Sharpie in the wasteland. Someone must not have gotten the reference. That's no way to organize a magazine section, he told a librarian once, some even say twice. The complete and total confidence he must have in himself and others. To live away is outside, to live anyway outside, just living outside anyway. Outside the library, no one has ever seen him. He's a phantom, a ghost, spirit, enigma, tale you tell at parties, actor researching a part, rich kid play acting to pass the time, undercover cop, mathematician. Inside the Portsmouth Public Library, he stays, smoking cigarette butts in the stalls, sure that outside isn't going anywhere. There I am, staring at him again to pass the time until the medicine kicks in, stops the tremors. You're not having a heart attack. Your whole body is not going numb. You are not outside of yourself watching yourself. You are in control of your limbs. And he lets me stare. God bless him. The medicine works. I am horny now. I feel good when I feel better. I'm in the stall of the Portsmouth Public Library, masturbating, thinking about my woman. It smells like smoke in here. Austin calls. I answer. What's up? Nothing. What's up with you? I sold a story to the Paris Review. That's great. The Paris Review accepted one of my stories. I'm proud of you, man. I am in negotiations with the Paris Review. They want to see something. I'm still working on it between you and me. I don't know if I want this to be my first piece. It might pigeonhole me unfairly. They'll expect it like this every time, and how soon I'll get sick of it. I'm glad you're still writing. Have you heard of the Paris Review? No. Is it a nice spot? It's a very big deal. I'm glad you're still writing. We spend a few minutes talking about cool shit he's been up to. Then I'm almost out of minutes, so I have to go and we hang up. I haven't been writing. The time between when a pill stops working and I need another one is too short. It's going to be a while. I need a cigarette. I step outside. The hours aren't going anywhere. It may not even be noon. I take another Klonopin. I can't remember if I took it or just thought about taking it. I pull the pill bottle out of my pocket and shake the pills free into the palm of my hand. I count them. I'm allowed to request a refill 5 days before it's due, and I can pick them up the following day. I don't want to kill myself because I'm destined for greatness, and it would be a tremendous loss for American letters. So I do the math to see where I'm at. It's still not clear if I took one or just thought about it. I take one to be safe. I have enough, I think. My math isn't much. I light my third cigarette with the cherry of the second. No one ever told me how to live or how I'm supposed to be. Nothing happens. The same, but somehow less. I buy an Italian sandwich and eat it on the curb above the sewer grate. There was no good reason to run away from home. Everyone there was lovely to me. There was plenty to eat and drink. I could have hung blinds my whole life. My woman looks at me like I'm something bigger than I am. I chased that look, and I chased that woman up here. I don't like looking back or thinking back. Everything wrong with me was born like this. It's not something I can pass off to someone else. I got to drag the thing with me always. My woman sees it and holds me tight. She knows me and she don't mind. Cops are here. There's 3 cars, 6 uniformed men. I'd like to start my drinking now, but my woman won't have it. She don't want no sloppy, smelly sot, at least not in the daytime hours. They kept their sirens going while they went inside. Assholes. The sound is all there is now. Has me feeling loose like I might run. 2 of them come back outside, all giggle monsters. I'm going to have to run. The sound settled in my stomach. Legs are shaking. More new trembles. I'm at the center of an earthquake. Hadn't quite split yet. My ass is glued to the curb. These legs ain't running anywhere, I think. A little woozy out here. Opening and closing my eyes real fast, over and over and over, trying to make the sunspots I caught earlier disappear. I must have taken that pill I wasn't sure of. It's all just my bloodstream now, whatever may come. Next 4 got him cuffed, dragging his body to one of the 3 cars, still sirens. Mouthed from the lugged body yowls. This is same as what I saw and come upon with Papaw and the dogs. When the scene dies down, a calm presides. Cool ocean breeze prevails. Must be at least 3 o'clock. I find a spot to lie down by the large print. Drift off. Wakened by the church bells. Wakened by the harbor sounds. Wakened by the swift kick to the ribs, courtesy of an old man, don't like no punks hanging around this place. Wakened by my woman, sad at seeing me splayed out of her hard, ugly carpet at the Portsmouth Public Library, relieved at how mostly sober I seem. Afternoons run together. Years I saw and places I lived. The stories I taught myself to tell fade, frequencies drifting in and out of range. We could stay here for centuries, fidgeting with the dials and the knobs. Wouldn't clear up a thing. Ran away from home, somewhere down south, to show my woman I was big and I was strong, sturdy as they come. Stopped in a postcard town. Found myself lonely but not alone at the Portsmouth Public Library.
Derek,
Wah wah wee wah.
I didn't interrupt you, right? That was the end, right? Derek, I want to say something. I have been waiting for over a year now for someone to read a story about masturbating in a public library, and I knew in my heart and soul it would be Derek Main who did it. No, I fucking love that. That was beautiful. I was fucking dying. I fucking laughing my whole way through that thing. There are so many like incredibly funny, brilliant turns of phrase in there, and honestly, you know that like so. And also, like, hell, I want a story about that homeless guy who's living in the public library. And on top of that, I love the little twist that it's the narrator and not the homeless guy who ends up masturbating in the public library. But anyway, sometimes I try to poach stories for Misery Tourism. Do you have a home intended for that? Because if not, Rudy's not here today. He's not feeling great, but I know he wouldn't disagree with me. We need to have the masturbating in a public library story.
I might send it over. Thank you so much. That's awesome.
Thank you, Derek. It was
thanks for letting me
awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a Canadian prank group, and they actually got on Air Force One with Trump later. Nelk Boys. I don't know if any of you know who Nelk Boys are, but they're trolls. I think they're bros, but they're pretty funny. The one guy's name is Steve Will Do It, because he'll literally do any dare. And he got messaged by who's the heroin addict Demi Lovato, and she's messaging him about getting sober, and he's just putting her on blast, like showing her DMs and like laughing about it as he chugs like literally 2 Mickeys of vodka. It's insane. I mean, it's real extreme stuff. But they have a prank where, and my favorite is Salim the Dream, this brown dude from Mississauga, I think. So they'll go in the library and they'll put on porn on blast and with the headphones just slightly pulled out so that people think that they don't know that they're just blasting porn in libraries in particular. So this called to mind that, and that's one of my favorite. I guess William and I both love things set in libraries with porn blasting. So it's a superficial remark. And then also it reminded me a little bit of, did you read Nausea by Sartre, Derek?
I mean, how old am I? 13. I read it in college, so I'm trying to do the thing.
But so there's the real library perversion scene there, which I didn't really expect that book to go there. Do you remember that? The main guy in the library ends up being a fucking like child kind of molester dude.
Michael says spoilers. I'm reading it right now.
I was just going to say spoiler. I actually don't remember that part of Nausea really well, but I don't want to ruin it for Michael either. So maybe next week we could talk about Nausea.
Oh yes, and I love that Gigi. So Gigi knows Nelk Boys. I mean, they fuck. I don't know. Yeah. So just superficial comments, but I think everybody knows that Derek is one of my favorite living writers. So.
Stop. How do you mute this too?
Okay. Thank you so much, Derek. All right. Josh, you're up next. Josh, I have to ask you a question. Are you also one of your favorite living writers?
Yeah, actually. Because otherwise, why else would you, right? I don't know.
No, absolutely. I'm not going to argue with that. If I had to ask the question, it's all yours.
Yes and no, because actually some stuff I think is quite weak, and I'm like, anyways. But I aspire to be. I guess that would be the thing. I aspire to be, and I don't think I'm there yet. And yeah. But I wanted to give a shout out to Willie Mack, my boy, my Hot Wheels. So we hunt in packs like raptors with the Hot Wheels stuff. So we hit different Walmarts and then we tell each other what the stock is. So this is a basic one. This is a Land Rover Defender. It's a quite accurate model, but the wheels are a bit too big. It's a little bit cartoonish, but it's nice. But in America, you guys get Zamac editions. So Zamac being unpainted, raw metal kind of, and it's a Walmart exclusive. They're quite rare, and Canada gets our Walmarts get one case of each. And so I hooked him up with some other stuff. Like I told him where a new case dropped that I already had. So he went there and got what he wanted. So he left this for me. He hid it somewhere else in the aisle. That's the same car, but it's raw metal. You know, it's like, which I thought, I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. So I wanted to just like, that's my forward, basically. Willie Mack, sweet guy. So I was going to read in print. So first time since 2012 that was in print in Alexander in Be About It Press in the latest issue of their zine, or her zine rather. I think she identifies as female. And although, you know what, I won't speak for her. I won't speak for them. But so yeah, 2 poems here, which I've read here, but different versions. And then I want to read one unpublished one. And then the sequel, the reason why I brought the Hot Wheels up, I want to read the sequel, the first part of the sequel to Big Dinky Energy, a Hot Wheels kind of fiction. So first, I'll just do the first 2 that were in Be About It Press. You should order it because honestly, Kurt's in there, and there's a bunch of different like people I think that we all kind of follow on Twitter and whatnot. And I was surprised to see a color cover. It looks good. There is a lot of good stuff in here, but I'm gonna just totally give away my part. So the first one's Late Capitalism. A woman who looked just like you was in an ad I passed the other day near Starbucks. She was doing yoga when I thought of you, but didn't want to. It was like giving the ad woman the chance to break up with me too, or you the opportunity for an encore by proxy. I bet the ad woman would have just stopped responding to my texts, ghosted. She has yoga pants / accessories to sell on this street corner near Roncesvalles 24/7. Posed athletically, the ad woman had the same focused expression that you did the last time I saw you. The look of a person doing something to better themselves. The ad woman sure made breaking up with me look good. She could sell the experience to the upwardly mobile for an exorbitant price. And I do think there's a market for that. I'm sure complete strangers would pay to dump my dumb ass. I guess I've got yet another reason to hate late capitalism. And then the next one's snuff. If someone wanted to make a snuff film of me, all they'd need is footage of my day-to-day existence. So that's those are my contributions. And then the new poem, which is in the manuscript that an unnamed publisher is hopefully considering. In high school, I was voted most likely to be tased. But as in so many other ways, I've never fully realized my potential. And then the last thing will be this, the follow-up to Big Dinky Energy, which is called Pegging. It won't be actually clear why it's called Pegging. It's actually kind of funny why it is called that, but this is it's going to be a short story, but a longer one. And this is basically, it's going to be, I like to break up the short stories. And so I'll just read the first part of it. And I might serialize it. I might try and read the next one next week. Pegging. You're waiting for your guy. He's supposed to be here soon. His last text said he'd be in a gray pickup, so you scan the grocery store parking lot and after a few minutes see him pull up at the far end. You're sweating, and not only because you've rushed over here on your bike. Something about the brevity of this dude's text suggests that he isn't someone who likes waiting around. He's already stepping down from his lifted Ford F-150 right as you ride up. One of your most fundamental beliefs is that you will never get along with anyone who drives a pickup truck. But you aren't here to make friends. Here's your stuff, he says, handing you the bag. There's no one else around. It's a public holiday and the parking lot is empty. It's less embarrassing this way. Check it out for yourself, your guy tells you. You size up the merchandise and it's exactly what he's promised. 5 Hot Wheels, each still in the package. The plastic blisters, that's the clear bubble that holds the car, are in perfect condition. And the corners of the cardboard cards that they're glued to aren't nicked at all, not one. This is some good shit. With admiration, you wonder where he scored the stuff. Ever since you started collecting dinky cars several months ago to try and reestablish some semblance of innocence in your otherwise debauched life, you've been trying to find these. You've learned the hard way that sometimes you've got to turn to a secondhand dealer, like the guy in the gray pickup. Some people in the collecting community call people like him scalpers. These dudes buy up every single specific example of a certain model, say a Mercedes-Benz 500e, so that they can create artificial demand. That lets them sell what's a $1 toy for $3 to $5 or even more. How those margins are worth anyone's time, you can't imagine. But if you hold out and don't manage to find what you're looking for off the shelves, you risk having to pay even more in a bidding war on eBay, plus shipping. That's just one of the things you've learned since you, a grown-ass man, began collecting Hot Wheels. Here are some other things that you've learned. And then the next section is going to be other lessons learned.
You make the Hot Wheels trade sound so illicit. It's great. It's no, all of these were wonderful. I think you may have read a draft of the snuff poem before.
I think
but
both
it's
drafts.
still-
I think I read Capitalism and that one in different drafts, and I tweaked some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they still slew me this time though. But no, I love the really like hilariously shady way you're describing the Hot Wheels transaction. That's beautiful stuff. But I have to say, while I have you here, you still owe me that Killing Dale Earnhardt poem.
Oh yeah, no, it's all coming. I was thinking about that today. I'm gonna do it over the weekend. I have to not party because I owe Back Patio Press a proofread of something. Not that I'm doing, but I'm proofing for them. I'm a good proofreader. And I owe them. My girlfriend has a driver's test on Monday, so we're not drinking. So I'm gonna finally send you that document. And
I'm going to keep publicly shaming you until you do.
And also
But no,
send,
that was fucking hilarious, Josh. As usual, you fucking killed it. Thank you, man.
Thanks. I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, I mean, I'll message you, but I think I'm gonna try and. It's a short story, but like that was 1/4 of it. I'm gonna try and do the next one next week. I'm gonna try and write the other part.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, just let me know and I'll put you on the list.
Sure.
So next up, late arrival Michael McSweeney has a piece.
Cool. Let me just share the doc here. So this was something that I read back in December, I think, that I'd written, and I've just been kind of reworking it endlessly ever since. But I think it's done, and I believe it's going to be published sometime very soon. So cool. So this is called From Ort. The woman stood at the window. Frigid air seeped through the tiny cracks around the pane and cooled the sweat on her skin. A cigarette smoldered forgotten in her fingers, held inches away from her thigh. The man in her bed also smoked. He consumed his cigarette in quick bursts, as if he were nibbling at a loose nail. "Shut the curtains and come here," the man said. The woman said, "No." The man brushed the end of his cigarette into the glass ashtray on the bedside table. Bits of ash sizzled as they hit the centimeter-deep water at its center. The woman kept ashtrays all around her house because she was the kind of person who smoked indoors. "I don't know why you keep looking," the man said. "Nothing's changed." The woman grinned. Her teeth, the color of lemons, were visible in the dark. She said, "Everything has changed, my love. Let's go outside and get a better look. You can wear my robe." "Absolutely not," said the man. "But you love my robe." "I'm sick of looking." Anxiety pooled inside the man as he thought about going outside. Anxiety like a flooded basement. Variations of this conversation had played between the woman and the man night after night for months. But despite pleading like a dog at the door in the rain, despite the dark gravity of his arms after they made love, through it all they made love, perhaps more often than ever. She always left him and went downstairs to the porch to stare at the comets until the sun rose, when only the most brilliant of them with their endless streaks of snow blue and purple green splashed against the immensity of everything remained visible. Hundreds, thousands in view at the peak of night. Because of the comets, the man hated leaving her house or his apartment. He worked remotely and had the things he needed delivered. When he slept, the man dreamt of enormous eyes that fell from the sky and smashed him to pieces. Every morning, the man spent his first moments wondering if he'd ever stop coming apart. The woman turned from the window and walked to the bed. She sat on its edge, but didn't face the man. She asked, "Why are you afraid?" "I'm not afraid." You are. It's perfectly natural to be afraid. I said I'm not afraid. You don't need to be all tough guy about it. That's bullshit. Talk to me. It's not fear, it's a reality. The man didn't know what to do with his hands, so he lit another cigarette. And when he set the lighter on the bedside table, it slipped off and clattered beneath the bed. What are we going to do? He asked. The woman asked, who? About what? Us, humanity, said the man. About these goddamn comets in the sky. They say there are millions of them flooding the solar system. Who's they? Everyone. Scientists, people on TV. The man felt his mind descend into open rebellion. A chimp at the bars of the cage, frightened by flashes of light he did not understand. Words rushed to the gate of his mouth. And they're like talking about ghost stars and black holes throwing this stuff at us. Something about a disruption of the Oort cloud. And then you've got people on TV talking about how one of them might kill us all, right in a goddamn flash. The woman turned to the man, reached for his cigarette and took it from him. She dropped it into an ashtray on the dresser, its flame rendered silent with a hiss. Sure, she said. We could all die bathed in beauty, like going in the arms of God. What the hell are you talking about? The man asked. The woman laughed. It was a deep laugh and reminded the man of the way a large ship thrums against the power of the sea. For a moment, he was more afraid of her than the comets. Then the woman said, I'm just acknowledging something. No one can resist change forever. No one is excluded from dying. So what are we supposed to do? The man asked. Then he asked more quietly, what am I supposed to do? The woman said, come outside and watch the lights. Talk about the ones you like best. Get excited and make love to me. And stop worrying about the damn curtains. The woman went to her closet and took a gray plush robe from its hook. Last chance, she said, as she drew it around herself. The man's eyes drifted to the wall beside the bed. The taste of tobacco lurked in his mouth like an unwelcome guest, and he couldn't decide if he should go throw up in the bathroom or chase the dreams of darkness and gravity that awaited him. No thanks, he said. The woman turned away, left the bedroom, and descended the stairs to the ground floor. She passed through the kitchen and took a pack of cigarettes and a lighter from the counter. She kept the icons of her habit everywhere. There was comfort in the regularity of smoking, especially in these uncertain times. She walked outside to the porch and lit a cigarette, then sat down on the cold wooden planks. She shivered and began to count the comets. Once she reached 300, she flicked the long extinguished cigarette away from her and yawned. She wished the man was with her, there to hold her hand and talk about the colors. When the comets first appeared, the man would come with her. He favored the greens and teals. But as the comets and the questions they posed grew more numerous, the man pulled back, ever deeper, pleading with her to close the curtains and hide with him. The woman sighed. She wanted the man to be free of his fear. She wondered if she should leave him. She wondered what being alone in this new world, a world of petrifying wonder, would mean. Then she lit another cigarette from the pack. I'm where I need to be right now, and that's fine, she thought. And so were they. She exhaled, and the hot smoke hung above her face until it rose and spread against the iridescent night. And that's it.
I remember this piece, and I love this piece. This is actually one of my favorite pieces that you've written. This was, now I think this was written kind of near the beginning of the pandemic, right? And also written based on a dream you had. Am I
Yeah, I had a dream about like tons of comets in the sky, and I wrote this like late fall, early winter 2020. And then yeah, I think I read it during like a December reading. So it's been a little while.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, I love this. I mean, I guess like everything written in the pandemic feels like a piece of pandemic writing if you stretch it enough, but this really like captures the essence of like where I was at, like mentally and emotionally for most of 2020 in a really beautiful way. And you abstracted it just enough to really get not only like at the sense of like existential terror of like mass death or the potential for mass death, but also at like the weird beauty and wonder of like a quasi extinction level event. There's something just really fucking magical about this piece. You said you found a home for it? Can you say that
So
or
there's
not?
the
Can you?
there's this like website called Mirror. It's sort of
Okay.
like it's kind of like a decentralized publishing platform, and there's a writer who I connected with recently who's kind of like collecting a few pieces for that. So this is going to be part of that
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
little release when that happens. So I'll be tweeting about that.
Yeah, make sure to tag me when you tweet it.
I will. Yes.
And I'll give it a little
Teddy
signal.
Burnett, who I believe is at the expat reading tonight, one of their performers. He was like tweeting about this plan the other day, and I'd heard of Mirror before because I work in that ecosystem, and I was like, oh yeah, let me see what I got, and I remembered that I just had this in the drawer, so I spent most of the week working on it, and yeah, this is what I came up with.
Was Caroline
fucking
Calloway?
awesome.
Caroline Calloway's there.
She's headlining it. I'm hoping someone records it.
Man, her OnlyFans
for
is so
posterity.
Yeah, I heard about that, but I didn't know it was tonight. And actually, we were a misery tourism like cross expat, ex-expat reading came this close to happening this summer, but couldn't.
I heard about this.
What?
It went stuff went down in Rudy's life and in my life that
Fuck you guys.
made it impossible.
I want to read the Caroline Calloway. It could have happened. You telling me?
No, it wouldn't have been the Caroline Calloway reading. It would have been
okay.
It would have been sometime in July. Manny and I were talking about it, and really, maybe it will happen still, but not this summer anyway. But yeah, no, I do hope that this one seems like it could be pretty big deal, and as Michael said, I hope they actually record that shit because I'd like to watch it.
Well, I didn't know. I think it was Derek who told me the other day. I didn't realize that Red Scare was attending, like Dasha from Red Scare.
Really?
At the previous or at one of them.
She was at the first one.
Yeah.
Or the one that like El Nash and the whole Elizabeth Ellen. I believe she was at that reading, which I was also at that one. That was a great reading.
Big idol of mine. Both she and you, Michael. But just yeah.
Just for the record, since it is recorded, I don't know either of the names you just said. So whatever, red hair, some red hair girl. You know what I mean?
Oh, no. It was just literally
Curly
just
brown shit.
I don't know where I found out about
Red
that.
Scare. I live in the suburbs, man.
There was no context. I don't know where I found out. I mean, it was impressive to me, anyways. But
I only know Red Scare is a thing because I spend way too fucking much time on Twitter, but I've never actually listened to the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's good, but it is being recorded still, so I'm just gonna.
You're not going to elaborate beyond. You're not going to talk about what about it appeals to you. No, Josh, it's okay. I'm not gonna. You know me. I never want you to say anything that might come back to haunt.
I always walk the line. I was actually reading someone in this chat. I'm not even gonna name names anymore, but like DMs that I've sent to like other writers, and like they were like, "Yeah, you really tread the line between like But I'm always on the right side. But it's always just like, oh, is he gonna dip into the other
line?
side?
That's where the action is, man. That's where the excitement is. That's where the fucking art is, man. Right on that line.
One of them recently published me. My God, I can't believe the first message I sent her. It was not bad. It's not. I'm not. Anyways, it was really not bad. It's just funny. It's just funny. It's funny. That's all. It's just funny.
And maybe after the show, you can talk a little more about.
I'll read the message. It's hilarious. It's yeah.
Okay, this is kind of last call here. Everyone who signed up to read has read. If anyone, Rudy's not here today, so I haven't been watching the chat. So would anyone like to read before we close up the show here? I can literally hear crickets. It's not even like a fucking metaphor or fucking turn of phrase or cliche or anything. You guys get quiet and I hear the fucking crickets outside. I hate being in the country. It fucking sucks. Anyway, no, it's peaceful. I'm getting the rest I need and my mental health is improving. So okay. Nobody has interrupted my awkward rambling, so I think that's a sign that we're closing this thing out. So this has been Misery Loves Company, a weekly reading series hosted by miserytourism.com. We do this every fucking Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. We tweet out the link at Misery Tourism about 15 minutes or so before, whenever I fucking get around to it. Yeah, if you've been watching this shit on YouTube, if you're one of the 12 people who watch this shit on YouTube, come by, join the fun. Okay, fuck it, I'm done. That's it. We're over.